What's up, guys? Tugi here, and it is time. The Stanley HUT Playoffs have arrived, and it's time to break down my first round matchup against BrianStormed. Not an easy draw. Whether it was 3 or 4 days in between finding out I was in the tournament and playing, whether I had a week to prepare, 2 weeks, it didn't matter. I was up against a very tough opponent, a top 50 versus player, a top 450 HUT player. Either of those rankings would be higher if you've played just one of those modes exclusively. It was a very tough matchup. Now, I do want to mention that before you watch this, if you haven't seen the announcement video where I talk about the rules and also show you the rest of the bracket, feel free to go check that out really quick. But, of course, this tournament was a random draw, so I was lucky enough to be involved in the Ottawa-Boston series, unlucky enough to end up with the Ottawa Senators. And, of course, my opponent, from Boston, but not a Bruins fan. Feel free to go check out his team in his video. Of course, his channel link will be in the description along with everyone else's in the tournament. He came up with one hell of a troll team. My team, of course, you can go watch my announcement video to get a full breakdown, although I did make 2 changes. I picked up 2 cards that I previously couldn't find on the market. I was able to get my hands on Milestone Jason Spezza, and we swapped out the Silverberg on the third line from the expansion version to the player of the game version to get Wicked Wristers applied. Aside from that, the team remained the same. Let's get to it. Game 1 against BrianStormed. And it wouldn't take long for our first highlight, just 2.5 minutes into regulation as we shut down his attack and we get going on the counterattack. Mark Stone brings it over the line, finds Jason Spezza back in the middle, and he roofs it to the far side on Martin Jones, of course. But a beautiful shot from Spezza to start this game off. We get the early lead. Later in the first period, Brian on the rush manages to get into the offensive zone. A pretty crazy bounce there for Chris Versteeg leads to an unbelievable save from Craig Anderson to keep Brian off the board. Later in the first, fourth line on the ice, we're able to prevent him from taking the shot, and then on the other side, Francis Perron rushing into the zone, gets the wrist shot. Derek Brassard is able to clean up the rebound, and we have the 2-0 lead. The goal scoring wouldn't stop there, though. Again, on the counterattack, we're able to stop him from coming over the blue line. We find Kyle Turris up the middle. He switches to Martin Jones and just misses the poke check. We bury it 3-0 to start this game, as you see just how close that poke check was. Late in the second period, on the power play, we're able to find Mark Stone, and he gets robbed by some fancy glove work from Martin Jones. Just over 5 minutes into the third period, we're able to shut Brian down and get him back across the blue line. But from here, oh my God, the windmill of dreams, but that's followed up by the poke check of dreams at the last minute. Our luck would thankfully continue later on in the third period. Despite the tie-up going his way, loose puck, shot on goal, the rebound, that made it 4-0. Late in the game, and Craig Anderson would strike again. We start off with a solid shot block, unable to regather the puck, continues to bounce around, but eventually Brian's able to cut in front. We get a crazy save, and then another huge save from Craig Anderson. He was spectacular in this first game, and then again on the counterattack, a beautiful drop pass. The shot is blocked. We go around the back of the net, a little bit of low cycling. We get the pass in front, and the snipe. A huge save on one end, and a beautiful finish on the other to make this game 5-0, as you see the saves from Craig Anderson again, and then ultimately the finish, this beautiful, beautiful wrist shot. Late in the third, we weren't done yet. The huge hit to help break up the puck, and again we were off on the counterattack. Mark Stone on the breakaway He would make no mistake. 6-0. And that is how this game would finish. And as you get a look at the stats, 31 shots to 13. Does that accurately represent how competitive this game was? Absolutely not. And I think time on attack is somewhat of an indicator that this was a much closer game than what the scoreboard would suggest. Jumping straight into game 2, 5 minutes into the first period. The one-timer for him off the face-off doesn't go, but he's able to recover the puck, and he slams home that slap shot with Carl Soderberg. A rough first goal to give up, that is for sure. Some terrible defense on my part, though. That is for sure. However, we weren't out of it. Not too long later into the first period, I get a gift from the EA gods. I believe that's Mark Stone that the computer takes control of. Absolutely demolishes him, and we go on to score at the other end. How that wasn't a charging on Stone, I have no idea, but thankfully we were able to make the most of it with Mika Zibanejad. Fast forward to the second period, and Brian would strike again. We get a big save from Craig Anderson, but right here we fail to get rid of the puck. I have 2 players skate to the middle instead of having one guy go to the boards. I should have been more patient with the puck. We end up losing it again in the corner, and he strikes with Jaromir Jagr. Start of the third period, we're on the power play. We have a great chance here with a one-timer off the face-off, but Martin Jones again flashing the leather. And this is where the game was pretty much finished. A good bit of passing between Stone and Spezza to get the puck into the offensive zone. We play it along the point. Dion Phaneuf back down to Spezza to Heatley. We try to go back to Spezza, and for some reason, it targeted Dion Phaneuf. He gets the puck on the break. We're not able to turn around, and he buries it. A beautiful finish from him, but one of those plays where you live by auto-passing, you die by auto-passing. We'd have one more quality chance here at the end of the game. Mika Zibanejad strolling in, and the goal is waved off. That would do it. A 3-1 final in Game 2 as Brian ties it up 18 shots to 12. He murdered me in time on attack. Passing percentage, not much went my way that game, and he did a hell of a job of adjusting. And that brings me to the final. The third and final game of this series. It couldn't have happened any other way, and we start off perfectly. The quick goal to take the lead just over 2.5 minutes into the first period. Later in the first, short-handed, and we get hit with the go-to face-off play. No help from any of my computer players, but help from the crossbar. At the end of the first, though, we would get some help from Craig Anderson. A great step-in move by him and a high slap shot save to end the first. We escaped the first 20 with the lead. And it looked like as we started the second period, very early on here on the power play, that we'd build upon that lead. It didn't happen. Martin Jones standing tall, and he kept it a 1-goal game. And then moments later, it happens. What single-handedly turned the game around into Brian's favor, and it's that pass right there from Derek Brassard. A little bit of a lag spike, but that wasn't a factor. He scores on the breakaway, and from that point on, we couldn't recover. Even though it was a tie game, that missed pass from Derek Brassard was the backbreaker. Craig Anderson still did a fine job for us, as you'll see on this save here. Another step inside move. Great move from him, but the huge save from Anderson kept us in it. And now we get to my least favorite part of this series recap. It's a heartbreaker. Thomas Caberlet steps in. The slap shot goes right through the legs of the defender, deflected in by Tyler Seguin, and Brian takes the lead. When that second goal went in for him, we were in the party chat, and we said the next goal would be the difference maker. And it was, as moments later, he gets a third. We struggle to pick up the puck along the boards. He steps in front, he buries it, and suddenly it's a 3-1 game. We'd try to battle back all period. We'd have a great chance here at the end. We were denied by Martin Jones, and that would be it. A heartbreaker. Another 3-1 loss. Again, time on attack, very one-sided. Shots relatively even. The game changed with that missed pass from Derek Brassard. And then for the second goal, to have a slap shot go through your legs. And then the third goal, to have a 92 overall Zdeno Chara not be able to maintain possession along the boards. A very frustrating end as we win the first game and then lose the next two. So there you have it. I'm one and done. Out in the first round. I went from dominating that first game to losing the next two and losing the series in general. And while sure, there is that tiny bit of frustration in losing, and we'll call it a tiny bit. It might be a little bit more than that. I don't like to lose. Who does? At the end of the day, that's all there is. In the end, that's all there is. It's a little bit of frustration. There's no feeling of having been screwed by the game or the game itself having been the difference maker. That simply wasn't the case. Fact is, after the first game, Brian did what so few can do. He adjusted. He figured out my playstyle and adapted. And simply put, my settings and strategy revolve around not having to rely on the computer players as much as possible. And after that first game, once he gained zone entry, he forced me into a spot defensively where I either had to rely on my computers to make the play, which good luck with that, or I had to take the risk with player switching and try to make that play myself. And that's where he got me. If I failed to make that play once I had switched players, he would get that high quality chance, and that was the difference maker. Now, if and hopefully when you go to his channel and check out what I believe he planned on doing was full gameplay, but regardless, once you check out his video and get a different perspective, you will see those adjustments in his gameplay. Perhaps the most obvious out of the footage will be my lack of ability to get into the offensive zone and, you know, getting that sustained pressure that my game is built upon. He adjusted and I didn't. Some might see it as my computers just not putting themselves in the decent positions offensively, but I still don't think that's the case. The reason why I failed to have that offensive pressure was due to my lack of adjustment. Like I said, defensively, he figured me out. He was still struggling to break me down for the most part, which led to me sticking to those strategies. But because I stuck to my guns, my offense pretty much completely died out. I needed to switch things up and get a heavier forecheck going to make a difference. But my respect for his offensive ability led me to stick with that shutdown style, and my offense suffered as a result. But at the end of the day, this series was exactly what I had hoped it would be. I mean, obviously I hoped for a better outcome, but it is what it is. Two competitive players who were near mirror images of one another in the way that we played. But in the end, he took the risk, he made the adjustments while I stood pat, and deservingly, he won the series. Again, does it suck to be eliminated in the first round? Of course it does. I won't be alone in that feeling. 7 other people will know exactly how I feel right now, and they'll be saying the same things to themselves. Do I feel like I could have done better? Absolutely. But flat out, off of those 3 games, did I deserve to win that series? I didn't. It's a series for a reason. If it were single elimination, it would be a different story, but much like in real hockey, the strategic changes over time can be the difference maker, and that's exactly what happened here. So in conclusion, a big congratulations to BrianStormed, one hell of a player, and as you know, is a good guy as well. The reason for the post-commentary style of this video in general is because rather than taking the game too seriously, we decided to just hop in a party and, you know, just talk during the game, shoot the shit. And it was a nice change of pace instead of it being like this super serious thing. Overall, I wish him nothing but the best, and despite not knowing a ton about some of the other participants, I wouldn't be surprised one bit if he wins the whole damn thing. So go get him, buddy. Of course, I want to thank everyone involved in the tournament. Have fun to the guys who are still in it, and best of luck. To Bojo, I can't thank you enough for inviting me to take part. Of course, I wish the journey had lasted a little bit longer, but who knows, maybe a year from now, a very, very long year from now, I can get a chance at redemption. And finally, to you guys, thanks again for the support. I wish I'd been able to make it a little bit further, of course, but like I said, without you, I wouldn't have been given the opportunity to be involved in this thing to begin with. And hey, if you're new around here, let me know. Or, you know, hey, just let me be the first to say welcome aboard to my channel. While I still have that regret about the way this turned out, because I do feel like doing well in this tournament, or geez, maybe even winning the whole damn thing, could have turned more heads than we already have, I still think I'm in line for a very interesting couple of months as we head into the summer, and eventually, of course, as we get to NHL 18. Don't forget, though, just because I'm out of the tournament doesn't mean the tournament's over. So please, I encourage you, continue to follow along with this tournament. Make sure, of course, to check out all the other participants. Again, everyone's channel link is in the description below. And guys, that's it, man. That is it. My journey comes to an end much sooner than I would have liked, but yeah, you can't win them all, right? And it's funny because if some people could hear me say you can't win them all, they'd be like, what the hell did you do to Tugi? What did you do to him? This is not the guy that we knew. But as always, guys, if you've enjoyed, feel free to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, support the video in any way you deem necessary. Any and all support is more than greatly appreciated, and I will see you guys next time.